All right. So thank you everybody for joining us today. Thank you for the pre-engineering day event. So I'm excited to hear from our awesome college panelists that are here. My name is Gabe Torres. I am a career exploration coordinator here at VitalLink. And so we're just gonna let the students and educators give us some time to log in. So thank you students and educators for tuning in. If you could please mute yourself and turn off your cameras so we can focus on our college panelists here. Thank you, college educators, for being here and sharing info about your schools, your engineering programs. And we're also going to talk about a little bit of the transfer process from community colleges to universities. So thank you guys, and let's get started. So I am going to direct the first question to around the room in my virtual room that I see everybody. So Dan O'Brien, you are lucky number one. So if you could please
All right.
Introduce yourself and your name, your title, name of college that you work with, and a brief background about your college or engineering programs.
Sure. My name is Dan O'Brien, and I'm the Machine Technology Department Coordinator and full-time instructor here at Fullerton College. And we work in the machine technology program. So we're a full machinist training program from teaching everybody how to set up and operate conventional equipment all the way to 2, 3, 4, 5 axes CNC equipment.
Awesome. Thank you. Renee German, you're next.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody, or good evening. My name is Renee German. I'm a professor of computer science and electrical engineering at Chapman University. We just recently opened up the Fowler School of Engineering a couple of years ago. It's a brand new school. Programs are not brand new, but it's a very nice, very campus and facilities that we have. And in addition to teaching, I'm also the associate program director of outreach. Hence why I'm here.
Awesome, thank you. Sang Juno, if you could please.
Hello, my name is Sang Juno. I'm the associate dean for the College of Engineering and Computer Science at Cal State Fullerton.
Awesome, thank you. Nick Timmons.
Hi, everybody. My name's Nick Timmons. I'm a professor of physics at Saddleback College. And I'm not representing necessarily an engineering program, just representing Saddleback, our physics undergrad program in general.
Awesome, thank you. And Christy Ho.
Hi, I'm Christy Ho. I am a STEM counselor at Golden West College. I work mostly with students majoring in science, technology, engineering, and math. I teach a counseling course called Planning for Computer Science, Engineering, and Math.
Thank you. Danny Peraza, representing for Santa Ana College.
Thanks, Gabe. Hello, everyone. My name is Danny Peraza. I'm the Career Education Counseling faculty at Santa Ana College. As the Career Education Counselor, I work with all the career education programs on campus, including engineering. Our engineering program have certificate and associate degree programs, and we also offer the transfer curriculum needed to transfer over to a 4-year institution like Chapman and Cal State Fullerton. We essentially have 2 tracks for engineering here at Santa Ana College. One track is the architectural civil engineering, and the other track focuses more on mechanical manufacturing engineering.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, so thank you guys for introducing yourselves. We're gonna go ahead and get started. I know we only have about 40 minutes, but yeah, this should be a good conversation, and I'm excited to hear more about engineering. I think everybody else is too. So let's get started. So first question, I'm gonna direct it towards you, Dan O'Brien, lucky number one. So question is, so what is the process for students to transfer their credits from a community college to a university?
Well, the normal process would be to see their counselor, request an official copy of their transcripts, and then send their transcripts over to the 4-year school that they're either applying for or they're going to be attending.
Awesome. Okay. Cool. All right. So Renee German, is there a process the same, or would you?
It's pretty much the same, right? You get with your counselor, take a look at your transcript, like Dan mentioned, and most counselors, if not all, have a tool where they can actually, see what courses transfer over from your community college over to the 4-year university that you want to attend. So that way, you make sure that you're actually taking the correct courses, and that you will be given credit for them when you do transfer. So, but other than that, I think Dan hit the nail on the head. It's a pretty similar process.
Okay, awesome. And so Sang Jun, would you say the same process goes for Cal State Fullerton?
Yes, in our College of Engineering and Computer Science, we have a person called graduation specialist who handles and guides transferring students from community college to have all the courses articulated and be credited for graduation requirement.
Okay. And would the same process be for Santa Ana College? Danny, like, what do you think?
I have to agree with Dan. I would recommend students to meet with a counselor, and the reason for it is it's very complex. Community colleges have articulation agreements with the Cal State system and the UC system. So when you meet with the counselor, we're going to be able to tell you what the minimum admission requirements are for specific 4-year institutions, and they differ. I mean, for the most part, they're the same, but, some of them want all 3 physics engineering courses. Some of them don't, right? So it varies by institution. It's very important that you do meet with a counselor. Every counselor has been trained. We use a website called assist.org to figure that out. Now, when it comes to 4-year institutions that are out of state or private, sometimes we do have articulation agreements that are institution to institution, but sometimes we don't. But, a counselor will be able to reach someone at that particular institution to get the appropriate information needed for you to be able to apply for admission and a transfer.
Okay. So Nick, I saw you nodding your head. What?
Oh yeah, it's hard to say any more than Danny just said.
Yeah.
He summed it up really nicely. I did want to make sure that, and he mentioned it, that assist.org is a website that allows you to see which credits from a particular institution will go towards a Cal State school or a UC school as far as transfer goes. But as Danny also said, it's a little bit complicated. So obviously meeting with a counselor is great. I just wanted to add just quickly that generally the courses at community college are designed mostly to be transferable to just about every school that you could imagine. That doesn't mean every course is transferable, but most of them are designed that way. And most schools, Saddleback included, have pathways, right? We have specific engineering pathways, physics pathways, chemistry pathways, and associate's degrees it's an associate of transfer degree. So you get like an associate degree, but it's a degree or certificate dedicated towards transferring to generally a Cal State or a UC school, but also towards your private universities as well.
Okay. So yeah, it seems like there's a similar rhythm to where, go to your counselor, not everything is transferable, unfortunately, but I guess you kind of figure out that way. So let's hear from Golden West College. Christy Ho, is the process the same, would you say?
Yeah, it's the process is the same throughout California, from community colleges to the universities. Just to give you an overview of what you need in order to transfer to a UC or a Cal State in engineering would be you take your major prep. We call them major preparatory courses. Those are courses that are for your major to prepare you for that specific field or major. And then you also take general education courses. That's like your A through G for high school. Similarly, at the community college. For Golden West, we don't have a specific engineering program, but all of our students who are interested in engineering typically take all of their classes, and we have those classes available in order for you to transfer into any of the engineering that you are interested in.
Okay. So yeah, it seems like there is a similar rhythm to how the transferring process goes in like each school, whether it's universities or even community colleges. So awesome. All right. Well, thank you guys. That was the first question.
I'm actually, hello, sorry.
Oh yeah,
I had class. I'm from Orange College. My name is Angelo Esposito.
I love it. Oh, that's okay. All right. So, I mean, let's get a question for you. So, Angelo, right?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay. So, I'll direct this right to you, Angelo. So, what specific courses do you teach and what skills do you expect students to have before entering your program?
Yeah, so let me just back up one minute, if you allow, because I would like to answer the previous question as well.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Orange Coast College is actually a particular setup. So aside from everything else that I guess was said, I just came in, so I heard a little bit of what the other colleagues were saying. We obviously have a similar setup. We do offer a wide array of engineering courses, but we also have an engineering academy at OCC. So students that applied to transfer directly from high school to UCI and they were waitlisted, they have the option to come to Orange Coast College and take all of the courses with us that would cover the first 2 years. They also benefit from the facilities and other amenities that UCI offers. So there will be basically OCC as well as UCI students for those 2 years. And then at the end of that path, they can transfer to UCI, but they could also change their mind and go to a different UC. So it's similar to TAG for those of you who are familiar with TAG, and if you're not, I can clarify that as well. But it's a little bit better than that because you're actually already with 1 foot in UCI and you have a lot of benefits that come with that. Plus, you will be part of a cohort where you're going to have privileged access to certain resources also on the OCC side. And it's one of those things that I say it's very appealing to students who are thinking of going from a high school straight into UCI. And then going back to your question, we obviously have all the math courses, the physics courses, the chemistry, biology, and so on courses that most of the other colleges offer, but we also have a relatively large engineering program. So we offer courses that go from intro to engineering to programming and problem solving in MATLAB. We have engineering graphics where we teach CAD, both with AutoCAD and SolidWorks. We also teach how to complete projects using CAD and from a more engineering perspective. So very much job-oriented type of training. Then we have engineering statics, we have dynamics, we have mechanics of materials, we have engineering materials, we have engineering circuits, and then we now have a rocketry program that is a collaboration between engineering and technology where students learn the engineering aspects of building a rocket, but they also build the rocket in the lab, so they can fly it. So that we take them out to the launching pad by the Mojave Desert, so they can also have that kind of experience. And I'm sure I'm forgetting something here because we have so many things.
Sounds like a lot.
Yeah. I think I named all of them, and we have lots of initiatives. So I pretty much teach all of those courses. I'm also the department chair, but we also have a STEM club, we have a STEM center, we have a STEM academy, along with the engineering academy, and we have plenty of resources. So if there are more questions, I can answer them later. So I want to give space to everybody to talk. Thank you.
No, it's amazing how many resources they have now, even like community colleges. I mean, you expect it to be at like a university, but even just at a community college, like with all the resources now, it's crazy. So yeah, thank you for that. So I will direct this question to Carlos. What specific courses do you teach, or even at your school, and what skills do you expect students to have before entering the program?
Thank you, Gabe. So my situation is a little unique. I teach both at Santa Ana College and Santiago Canyon College. They're sister colleges. In the engineering division over at Santa Ana College, I teach Intro to Civil Engineering. I teach a plan reading course. And I'm developing and getting ready to teach Mechanics and Materials course in the upcoming semester. As far as some of the basic skills that I think students need entering the program, I'm a firm believer in soft skills. I think, especially in engineering, we kind of push that aside, and then they come into business type setting, and us engineers kind of fall behind in that area. So, again, just focus on some of the soft skills, like interpersonal skills. That includes your communication, your ability to work in teams, being organized, creative, a leader, all those things. At least me coming through engineering programs was never really talked about. And again, it's a big gap that we have to close as engineers.
No, that is true. I think that's the soft skills, like what you said. I think that's something that gets overlooked a lot. Being able to have a conversation with someone, having the people skills, that's really important. So Sang Jun Oh, same question. What skills do you expect students to have before entering your program?
So basically, engineering computer science programs have developed courses based on the foundation of math. So we would seek students to really be strong in mathematical foundation, namely calculus 1, 2, and 3, and the differential equations and linear algebra. So those are the key foundation, along with 2 semesters of physics and mechanics and electricity and magnetism. So every courses that we have in junior, senior year are based on the 4 math classes and 2 physics classes.
Wow, he said a lot of stuff that I never even heard of, those types of classes. This is awesome. This is the cool part that I like about it, just learning, even myself. So Dan O'Brien, if you could answer the same question.
Sure. Yeah, at Fullerton College, when we teach people the basics of how to operate machine tools, whether it's conventional machine tools, CNC machine tools, very specialized CNC machine tools such as CNC Swiss, which is a very unique part where you make a machine that makes unique parts that are very small in high volume, 4 and 5 axes machine tools. And we get students from all walks of life here. I mean, we get a lot of degreed engineers that come here to learn more manufacturing skills. We get degreed engineers from UCI, from UCLA that graduated the programs and really wanted to get more hands-on skills in manufacturing. So they've got all the math skills and everything wired. They just need the hands-on manufacturability. And then we get a lot of high school kids coming in where, just a desire to learn is the main thing. We typically will teach them all the math they need for the machining area. We do a little bit of trigonometry, but we don't do a lot. We just solve what we need to for our specific applications in the machining area. And so, really just a willingness to learn, they want to learn, better themselves. Some go directly to our program and go directly to work after a program with certificates. Others transfer on to engineering skills. So, we got a little bit of everything coming through our program.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah. I mean, it's like you said, willingness to learn. That's, I think the mindset is the key first, definitely. So what would you say, Renee German from Chapman University? What skills do you expect, students to have?
So it's going to be a combination of what Carlos said and what Dan said, right? So, when we're going through the admissions process, we get a whole lot of applications, and obviously there's just numerous students who have, the calculus, the physics, and that background, right? But we're pretty unique in that, again, we take a what we like to do, a holistic view of the incoming students, right? Because we want to expose engineering to everybody who's curious, right? So the one thing that we say about our students coming in is, again, be curious and be fearless, right? Be fearless and they're willing to learn. They're willing to learn something new, something out of your comfort zone, right? So that's kind of what Dan was saying. But the other important aspect is what Carlos mentioned, are the soft skills, right? So we push our students to actually go out and get a minor, right? So if they come in and they want to major in computer science, computer engineering, electrical engineering, data science, right? We usually tell them, hey, have you ever thought about a minor in creative writing, or something that's completely opposite outside of engineering. Why? Well, because we already know you have a brilliant mind, right? But if you can't disseminate that information on a paper or via email or communicate it via your team, it's going to be pointless, right? So being fearless, being curious, those are the things that we really want our students to have coming into engineering at Chapman.
That's awesome. I like that. Be curious and be that's something I think a lot of people don't really expect. Like when you go to college, it's all about new experiences, be curious. Yeah. Try a bunch of different things. That's so I'm gonna send it over to you, Nick Timmons. What would you say expect students to have before they enter your program?
Yeah, I again, after everyone gives their great answers, it's hey, great. Yeah, I agree 100%. Maybe what I can add to that a little bit is say that going from, say, high school, especially like high school level physics and high school level math, to the college level is a bit of a large leap. And it does take a lot of work. And so being a little bit prepared for that ahead of time can definitely be useful. So working especially on, I know you all probably hear it a ton, but working on those good study habits, being organized, finding people to work with, finding people to study with, joining groups, joining clubs, joining Saddleback, we obviously have physics and science clubs and things, and all of these schools here have tons of cool clubs, tutoring centers, tons of resources for you. So, avail yourself of all of those resources so that you don't feel lost or stuck. Going from, again, high school to college can be a big leap, especially when we're dealing with really, high level math, high level physics, and all that stuff. So,
no, that is true. Yeah, the process can be pretty stressful. But so last but not least, Christy Ho, what are your thoughts on it?
Everything that Nick mentioned, at the community college, we don't expect all students to have, physics and calculus. Just know that community college is a stepping stone for you to be able to transfer to a four-year university. And even if you don't have those skills already, we can help with that. The community college is there for you to help you with study skills or build those skills for you to be able to transfer to handle the course load at the university. But the one skill that I find my students to not struggle, but want to hone in more is time management. As a engineering student or a STEM, the course load is, rigorous. So I know that you're not just a student, you could be working, taking care of your siblings or whatnot. So time management is key, very important. If you can build that on early on, it will help you later on in college.
That is very well said. That is true. Time management is something that not a lot of people are good at it, but if you are able to master it, it's good to have. I saw, Renee, that you had your hand up. Did you want to add on that?
That was actually an applause. Time management is crucial. That's what I tell a lot of my students in my classes. Yeah.
That is, be curious and be time manageable. Definitely. Okay, so thank you guys. All right, so let's go on to the next question. So that question was about what skills do you expect your students to have? So now this question is, like, what new skills do you teach your students before they go into their career? So we'll start with you, Renee, if you don't mind.
Yeah. So and I don't want to say that this is unique to Chapman, but quite a few of our full-time faculty actually came from industry, right? So, we were out in industry for a while using the actual tools that most of our students are going to use once they graduate. So, we've tried to actually, blend that together with all of the theory that goes on in a computer science course. So just, some of the tools that we teach our students are, first, you got to be proficient in Linux, right? You got to know Linux. You got to know how to navigate around with the command line, right? And some of our courses that are heavily, where we heavily emphasize on writing code, well, we expose you to GitHub, right, which is source control, where you can actually submit all your homework submissions off using GitHub, right? And that serves a couple of purposes. Well, it makes it easy for us to grade because we can actually go and clone and, look at the source code. But by the time they graduate, they already kind of have this little portfolio of all the different assignments that they've worked on that they can share with, potential employers, right? So big ones are GitHub, Docker, Linux, right? And then just being able to navigate, around the command line, right? That's in addition to just, the normal coursework.
Okay. All right. It seems like the course load is a lot.
Yeah.
Engineering students. So Angelo, I'll direct this question to you. So what new skills or techniques do you teach students to prepare them for real world careers?
So we work a lot on the soft skills along with the hard skills. So it goes back to the comment that was made before. I perfectly agree with that. We don't underestimate the importance of soft skills. As a matter of fact, research from many companies, including the 500 Fortune companies, demonstrate that the skills that engineering graduates lack the most is soft skills. So we make sure that we always embed team projects, lots of presentations to the class, and the ability to communicate both in writing and orally. So we make sure that we work on all of those in all of our classes. So our students are prepared for interacting with teammates and also present themselves to an interview and things of that sort. And there are obviously the hard skills that they can learn, which every college has an array of them. So what's particular about OCC is the fact that we have a very strong technology division with lots of different things that range from machining, construction, IT, and aviation science. So they can actually combine engineering with whatever set of technology or technologies that they see fit. So a student, for instance, who's studying mechanical engineering can learn machining all the way from the hand operating machines to the CNC with 4 and 5 axis. And we also have automated processes for manufacturing, so they can also learn the most advanced tools used in technology and manufacturing more in general. And I would say from that point of view, that could be a little more unique to OCC. And then going back to a more heuristic type of approach, I think and that's one thing I really focus on in my classes, is trying to teach students how to learn. So learning how to learn is probably the most important outcome when it comes to engineering, but pretty much all the STEM majors. So I also come from the industry before teaching. I've only been teaching for the last 7 years. Before that, I was an engineer, and I was also a project manager. So for me, the most valuable thing that I learned in school was not really the hard skills, because that's something you actually learn as you go into the job and you see specifically what's going on, and you kind of have to look at what you have to do with your employer and your colleagues. But it was more about that ability to learn quickly and immediately know where to go to get the correct resources and how to put all of that together to do the job, to do it quick and to do it well. So I usually try to put students in a position where they really have to develop their critical thinking skills, their ability to be presented with the problem and immediately figure out the crucial points of the problem and how to address them. And I think that's something that we should all value as instructors, as educators. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, you're learning how to learn. So important. So I think Danny, right? Santa Ana College. Is this a question that you're able to answer?
No, I think this was a Carlos question.
Oh, this is Carlos' question? So Carlos, so what would you say from Santa Ana College? Yeah, what are the skills or techniques that you teach students to prepare them for real world careers?
I'll keep it short and sweet. It's already been covered, right? Time management is super critical, and transfers directly into the industry. One thing I'll add is just in line with communication is the ability to network. Again, so many people kind of miss the boat on these opportunities and what knowing people in the industry can do for you. So it's not so much a skill. I think it's just awareness of how things, really work out there.
Okay, awesome. Sweet, straight to the point. So, Christy Ho, so what would you say from Golden West College?
Mostly what, as a counselor, we would teach them soft skills, right? Preparing them for the workforce. So resume building, interview preparation, even job search. And I emphasize in my class that, going out there and interviewing is not easy, and internship is really important. I tell they're all, my students, you can go to a UCLA engineering and have a 4.0 and not be able to interview, and go to, let's just say local Cal State Fullerton, have a 3.2 and interview really well and have all the skill sets. So, and have, internship and being able to have that skill to bring to the table. So sometimes it's not where you go, it's what you're going to be able to bring to the table to get that job.
True, well said, true. So Dan O'Brien, what would you say from Fullerton College?
Yeah, I mean, students need to have all sorts of skills. One of the things that we always try to teach them here is critical thinking, how to solve problems in manufacturing, and just dealing with engineers at companies, depending upon what level they are. If they're an engineer coming back to learn manufacturing skills, it's great. They're in the right place. But unfortunately, I hate to say it, I work in a small business with my father, and we deal with local companies and we deal with engineers. And I hate to say it, but there's a huge lack of manufacturing knowledge with these engineers. And so, I mean, engineers that are coming for machining and manufacturing knowledge, that's great. You're definitely in the right spot. They need the education on manufacturing, because they're designing parts and we're getting them all the time to quote and make that are either not makeable, they're not going to be made right. We end up having to do a lot of educating of the engineers. So, I mean, here at the college, I have experience with aerospace and medical manufacturing. So does George here. We both have worked in the industry for many, many years. So we try to teach our students, things we've learned, and try to give them valuable lessons and problems to work on that are going to directly help them on the job that, we've learned with our experiences. So anyway.
Awesome. Thank you. So Sang Jude O, what new skills, techniques do you teach students to prepare them for engineering careers?
So basically, in addition to the hardcore engineering technical knowledge, nowadays what we're emphasizing more in our college is develop soft skills for students. So we have a co-curricular activities in entrepreneurship, and we also have a learning group with a woman in computer science and engineering. And we also have what's called Engineering Ambassadors Network Program, where it is to develop students' presentation skills, promoting engineering and computer science to the community. So I think the emphasis of soft skills in the industry is emphasized more and more. So it's not just the hardcore technical skills, such as hands-on skills in engineering and computer science, that's more important. We are trying to develop engineers who can communicate better, who has that entrepreneur thinking. So that's being emphasized more and more. So these are the new skills and techniques we are trying to teach our students, in addition to computer-aided design and computer programming skills that students need when they go into the industry.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. It seems like there's a similar rhythm to where developing the soft skills is the first key, to go into the engineering career. So I have a question actually from the chat. Someone, I think, sorry if I say your name wrong, Tenny Nguyen. She would like to know, or he would it be possible to still pursue a career in computer engineering while being bad at math? So does anybody want to take that question? Open to the room.
I mean, I can respond in general, not so much in the specific major, but I would say it will limit growth, right? Ultimately, it will limit growth. You can come in and be, what I call a techie for the rest of your life and not talk to anybody and sit at your station and produce work, right? But as soon as you want to go to the next level, as soon as you want to start supervising or being a manager or even beyond that, if you don't have those soft skills, personally, I don't think you can be successful. That's my take on that.
Sorry, was the question, it was being bad at math?
Yeah.
That,
so
so,
being bad. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll say that this is, people can argue with me on this, but I don't think that anybody is intrinsically bad at math, and there's a lot of pervasive thoughts in our society that says some people or other people are good or bad at math or anything like that. I would just say that ultimately, if you feel like you're struggling with math, which is a huge component of all of this, physics, engineering, all the sciences, you're going to have to take math, right? That somewhere along the line, probably there was just a misstep, and what we need to do is go back to that step. So that's where community college is a great place, where you can, for not a lot of money, go back, if you have to take algebra 1 again, you take algebra 1 again. If you have to go back to trigonometry, you take trigonometry and build your way up. I came to community college. I'm a former community college student, where I had not taken a class in a long time, and I had to go back to the very beginning of math and work my way up. And if you just take it one step at a time, I firmly believe everyone can do it. And every community college has tons and tons of resources to help you out with that. So do not shy away from any major because of math, or if you've heard physics is difficult or things like that.
Awesome. Oh, Myra, did you want to add on that?
Yeah, I did. So I am Myra Perez. I'm a student services coordinator for the Bridge to Engineering program at Santa Ana College. And I just wanted to chime in on that. Our program, Bridge to Engineering, is there to assist students who have an interest in STEM. Many of our students come in at the college algebra level, and with our program, we cohort our students and help them get through that that long math journey that they kind of have to take. But all these different schools have amazing resources. So I would suggest definitely doing your research at whatever college you decide to go to, and look to see what's there to help you. In our program, like I said, we take our students, we cohort them in a group every year. They take the math classes together. We provide additional tutoring for them. We create a community of STEM students who basically find themselves in the same boat navigating this STEM journey. And I'm not going to lie, like, there are students who struggle, but there are so many different resources to help students. So even if math is not your strongest subject, just know you need to work at it maybe a little harder, but it's definitely doable. So don't be discouraged about that.
Awesome. Thank you. You kind of answered the last question that we had, which is what advice do you have for students as young as even middle school who are interested in the career or even interested in the programs? So I will start with you, Dan O'Brien.
Well, for kids, they can get involved in clubs that build things. There's a really good group of a rocket club where they go out to the desert out to El Mirage and they launch rockets. They got series of middle school kids, high school kids that are already participating. There's some freelance individuals that also do it. A good friend of mine's the principal over at Pacifica High School, and he goes out with his son. They launch rockets and stuff, and he's telling me about all these crazy things that go on out there in the desert. So projects like that force you to get out and make things, fabricate things, whether it's a rocket, whether it's a little race car, whether it's an RC car. If you have a hobby, my hobby is mountain biking. So I've been making little chain rings and pulleys and stuff from my mountain bike when our aerospace work has slowed down recently, because unfortunately that's got really slow at my family shop. So we're trying to push a line of mountain bike parts out of whether or not we end up, we're successful or not, I don't know, but it's fun. I like to do it. I like to make things. And so, and just follow, you know, if you're into guitars, Fender guitar has all sorts of CNC machines. They're making out guitar bodies. They're making out the bridges for guitars. We have several master builders from Fender that have come through the program here. So I've had a chance to go see the factory and what they're doing. And you can make guitar parts or many other musical instruments. So there's just, you can, so many different areas at your hobby, you can actually develop skills on how to make parts for it. So.
That's awesome. I personally play guitar, so I love that's
Same here.
Awesome. Awesome. Renee, so what advice would you give to students as young as middle school who are interested in the career of engineering? Oh, I think you're on mute.
Yeah, if your school actually has, like a STEM pathway or something, obviously join the clubs, right? If they don't, then, my advice, again, it goes back to being curious and being fearless, right? There's so many things that you can do nowadays that you can actually, again, build something at home. Like Dan said, he's kind of more on the mechanical side, building stuff with his hands. I'm more on the computer science and write some code, right? So I always tell when I do talk with the kids, hey, if you got 20, 30 bucks laying around, maybe buy a Raspberry Pi, right? There are so many things you can do with the Raspberry Pi. You can learn Linux, right? You can learn how to code in Python. You can learn how to code in Scratch, which is, the programming language they show to kids in elementary school, which is just kind of like putting a puzzle together, right? So, those are the type of things that I tell kids to get into, right? For some people that are maybe like a little bit older and maybe do have the budget, hey, build your computer by go and buy all the PC parts and put it together, because you'll find out that you'll get more bang for your buck if you actually build it together. And not only are you learning about all the components going in, but when you do, if you do end up going into like a computer science degree or computer engineering degree, you'll know, when we're discussing the different components and operating systems and all that other stuff, you'll know what we're talking about, right? So, those are things that I tell, kids to tinker with, right? You got Arduinos and Raspberry Pis, which are super, super cheap, like relatively powerful, computers that literally fit in the palm of your hand.
True. Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Angelo, what advice would you give to students?
So I really like both what Renee and Dan said. I think it's important that they start to get hands-on skills, and it's something that they can actually use to find their passion. Lots of students at high school, including myself, and I'm sure many of us, don't really know at the high school level what they want to do. Maybe they think engineering is interesting, but they don't really know what engineering is, and they don't know what that entails. So rather than thinking about math and physics or chemistry or any of the sciences for engineering, I would say think about what the final goal is, which is design something, build it, make it work. It's going to fail, so you're going to have to start all over again, figure out what's wrong with it. So if you can enter the process, which is called the engineering design process, and you can start to learn it from the hands-on aspect of it, you'll worry about all the hard wiring stuff later. You think about what goes into building a project. I think, again, that's a great value. And I think, again, there are many resources, probably at the high school level, that they're already attending, or maybe even at the college level. We offer summer program for high school students. I'm sure there are other programs out there. So maybe look into something like that, look into this type of opportunities. Also value some hands-on skills that you can learn. Even at the high school level, there are classes that you can take at the community college level where you can learn manufacturing or something that may be in the field of information technology and things of that sort, that could even lead to an internship where you're actually going to be working with a team of engineers or computer scientists. You can actually see what they do. So you sort of do a career shadowing by being actively involved, and you can get a much better idea of what does it mean to have that profession, what does it mean to become that type of professional figure.
Thank you. Appreciate that. So Nick Timmons, what advice would you give?
Yeah, I can definitely echo what everyone else said. Just getting involved is really the key there. I would say I asked my students in my modern physics class, I asked who are engineering majors, and they all raised their hands. And then I was sad because I wanted them all to be physics majors, but they all want to be engineers. And they told me, they said, engineering, this was a kind of a common theme I heard from them, is they said, engineering is a really wide sort of nebulous term that includes a lot of different aspects, whether you want to be more hands-on, more computer-based and things like that. There's a wide range. And they said, start thinking about, sort of what things are interesting to you. Are computers interesting to you? And then you can do, as people were saying, try to build a computer. Are electronics interesting to you? Work on building electronics or thinking about those and learning more about those concepts. I will also say that you can get involved in things right now, especially even at the college level. I have a student right now who's in high school, who's in my modern physics class, and she just reached out to a professor at UC Irvine and is going to do a summer internship there. And the reason why that all came together is because she just put herself out there, right? Just knocking on doors or sending emails. You may not hear back from people. You may get a curt response from someone in industry or a professor or something like that. But don't be afraid to reach out to people, because you never know what kind of cool opportunities are out there. So reach out to people in industry, reach out to people in academia, and there's always cool opportunities out there.
True. Well said. Thank you. Thank you. So any thoughts on that, Christy?
No, I think Nick covered everything. I think mostly it's just really exposure to the different kinds of different sciences, physics, chemistry, biology, because engineering has all of that. It's not just mechanical or computer science. There's bioengineering, there's chemical engineering. So just getting exposure, I think, is important.
That is true. I didn't realize, I did a little research before this event, and man, engineering is in like everything. It's amazing. So Sang Jun what advice would you give the students?
Well, I think the emphasis of software is becoming more and more emphasized. So for any engineering, and especially if you want to go into computer science, it's a given, but for any engineering, I think the emphasis of computer programming is going to be more emphasized, because nowadays people talk about automation in engineering all the time. And automation is usually driven by software. So my recommendation to middle schoolers who really wants to go into engineering is get an early exposure to computer programming, such as, let's say, Python. And you have great resources, for free resources that you could download, we call it IDE or the compiler that you could download for free and start creating Python programming. And YouTube has great resources to learn about programming. And there will be enough people at high schools, community colleges, and four-year colleges about how to start writing codes. And if you can somehow have that exposure before taking your first programming class, I think the motivation about learning programming, will be higher. So that's my request.
Okay, awesome, thank you. And from Santa Ana College, who wants to take this question?
I'll go ahead and take it. Really want to echo what my colleagues have said. I think exposure is important. As a middle schooler, what I'm going to recommend for you to do is really get as much information as you can from the field. Many of my colleagues have said it's very broad. There's many different careers, occupations you can pursue within the field. So I would really take advantage of, meeting with a counselor, a career counselor, so you can, so they can introduce you to online career resources where you can get up-to-date data about specific occupations, like their type of working environments, what type of skills they use, what type of technology they're using, how much education is needed. Because I believe Angelo was the one that mentioned it. The engineering design process, there's many components to it, and you can be involved in any part of that process. It just really depends what your interests are in. So At Santa Ana College, we offer certificate programs to help students prepare for entry-level positions as a drafter or as an engineer, designer, engineering tech. Well, you don't need to transfer to do that. You can simply do it with the certificate and an associate degree. It just really depends what your interests are, what your passions are. You won't know that until you learn about what those occupations consist of, right? At Santa Ana College, similarly to all of our other community colleges, we have the dual enrollment and concurrent enrollment programs that give students an opportunity to take college level courses during the summer or during your winter break. Guess what? We offer the intro to engineering, the intro to computer science, all these intro courses that you can take so you can learn about the job field, that major, different occupations and all that stuff. So you can get a feel for whether or not it's a good fit for you. And if you are interested in doing dual concurrent enrollment, it's offered at every California community college. Middle schoolers can definitely participate in the program. And if you are interested, please feel free to reach out to me at Santa Ana College or any of the counseling faculty from all the other California community colleges. We'll be able to direct you to the right person to get you signed up. And I'm sure that whoever's facilitating this will be able to give you our contact information.
Definitely. Awesome. Thank you so much.
And if I could just
yeah.
add one quick point to that, Danny just reminded me of one thing that I think is pretty important. You know, not everybody is cut out to be an engineer. And I think that's great because there's so many other technical, high demand, high paying positions that contribute to engineering projects that are obtainable at all levels. And I think, you know, kind of going back to that first question of whether or not, you know, you have the math background or like math or good at math, that's okay, right? There's probably a position, a career for you that maybe doesn't include as much math, that you can still be a huge contributor in this technical world that we live in. So
Awesome. Yeah, thank you. That was good insight. I mean, you're right. Yeah. Not everybody's cut out for the engineering world. I know I'm not, but so it is that time to wrap up. I want to thank you, college panelists, for joining us today. Really appreciate it. Thank you for sharing your insights about your colleges, engineering programs, and also the benefits of attending or even transferring to your schools to complete degrees. So thank you so much for showing up and being on the panel. I also want to thank students and educators for tuning in today. I hope you learned a lot, because I know I did. But so if you guys want to, feel free to put your information into the chat, contact info from your schools, or even just your personal contact info. I'll give you guys a couple minutes to do that. Before we take off, though, I want to emphasize that if you guys want to review this recording, it should be up hopefully by tomorrow. But you can, students and educators, if you guys want to go onto the VitalLink app, you can find info about the Orange County colleges, universities in the area, and find out more about the programs or even just the schools. So you guys can go ahead and log into that if you want. And thank you guys again for showing up. And we will see you next time.